Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? Check the link below for my write up of The Amateur. I finally got out to the movies to see it this weekend. Did my write up on Substack after I saw it. I had a great time. It was a very, very well done flick. I didn't know this until just recently. I did start seeing trailers and ads and stuff for it probably like 6 months ago, maybe even longer. And I just assumed that it was some original property. I was like, okay, cool. They're actually doing original scripts more prominently in Hollywood. It turns out it is based on a novel, but the novel is from 1981. And there was also a film adaptation of that novel, but it was in Canada, so it doesn't really count, in the same year. So technically, this is a 40 plus year remake, but if nobody knows of the book or the original movie, like, does it really count? This was like I said, this was a really, really well done movie, and it gave me a lot of the things that I want and look for and enjoy, while being. I mean, I guess you could describe this as a pretty clean movie, but it's still got teeth where it needs to have them. The premise is that the main character is a coder slash programmer slash analyst for the CIA. You never really get his job title, but you can see what he does on a day-to-day basis. And he's got a touch of the tism. He's a little bit special in that sense. He has different emotional responses to things. They're understandable and relatable, but you can also see that they manifest just a little bit off. Like when he gets upset about something or he's trying to disentangle something. It's never overtly specified. You watch it, you'd be like, okay, this guy's got some neuroatypicalness, if we want to use the modern parlance for it. He's married. He and his wife have a farmhouse somewhere out in Virginia because, hey, if he's working for the CIA, he's got to be close to Virginia. They don't have any kids. She works too, and her job makes her travel. Again, like, her job's not overtly specified. This movie did a great job of like giving you what you needed visually without worrying about hammering you with the details. You see it, you process it, you just understand she's got a job, she's got to travel internationally. They've got a very healthy marriage, they love each other, and she understands what his bugs and quirks are, and she loves him, so she works around him. Like, it was great. While she's in London, a terror attack breaks out. She gets taken hostage and ends up getting killed. And since he's with the CIA, he's got access to tools that nobody else would have. He's able to figure out who these terrorists are and isolate them. But then he finds out that the CIA knows who they are, and they're not moving against this particular team because they want to wait until they get their hands on this entire network, supposedly. And so he, it's not necessarily that he grows a set. He just finds himself with the right skill set to basically blackmail the CIA into turning him into a field operator. The whole quest, we'll say, for Charlie is about him relying on his strengths and also being very aware of his weaknesses and compensating for that. And the CIA, who's used to operating in one way and knows that he can't completely operate in that way, then consistently underestimates him for playing the game a different way. As he starts, not necessarily globetrotting, but he goes country hopping through Europe as he hunts down the 4 people responsible for his wife's death. He undergoes some character growth along the way. He also meets a fellow traveler who, she's on the Russian side of things, but her husband was ex-KGB, and he was killed by the government. And so she's a widower, or she's a widow, he's a widower. They can understand each other and work together in a way that's meaningful. And when I say this movie's clean, like, one of the most powerful scenes in it was when Charlie was working with this Russian woman. I don't want to give her name away because there's a bit of a reveal in the movie. When he was working with her and he's staying at her house for a while, he's sleeping on her couch. She comes up to him in the middle of the night, and in any regular conventional spy movie, this would be where, like, the spy and the female lead get it on. But it wasn't that kind of movie. She sits down and she tells him straight up, she's like, I'm not looking for sex, but I've been on the run, I've been alone and everything. I just want to sleep next to somebody for once, for one night. I don't want to sleep alone, is what it was. And so, he understands that. Like, he's not over his wife. He's not trying to move past her or anything. This whole quest of his is driven by her, and she's still a very present force in his mind. He regularly remembers her or even kind of hallucinates her being there with him along the way. It's not like they cast an actress to play this role and then yeeted her out in the first 10 minutes of the film. Like, she's there all the way through. But speaking as a guy who's been happily married for 14 years and is tired of seeing just sex in movies and not people that actually know what love is, it was refreshing to see that, like, you could understand people in that position who had lost their significant others and who were alone, finally meeting the very rare person who could understand their unique situation and saying, like, hey, can you just be with me through this for a minute? Like, it was a very touching addition to a movie that all throughout managed to not just be a conventional spy caper. I really, really have high praise for this movie. If there's one complaint or nitpick or piece of criticism, I just hit something in the road. Oh no, it was a climate protester, so nothing real. Anyway, there's one character played by John Bernthal who he's kind of dangled as a bit of like a Chekhov's gun in the first act, and then he appears again in the third act. And he's got a contribution to make to the film, but I feel like they were teasing more, and I wonder if there wasn't more with him that was left on the cutting room floor for some reason or other. It didn't sink the film or anything, but when you reflect on it and think later, it's like, oh, I wonder what that was all about. I guess we'll never know. But it's fine. Pacing-wise, this was a little bit slower. There were some fight scenes, some shootouts. There was not necessarily like a car chase, but a scene with a car. There was some action and stuff, but this was a more cerebral type of movie. I won't say that it was slow, but it wasn't fast-paced so much either. This was a movie that made sense as it unfolded, as it went along. Like, you could follow the thought processes of a very intelligent character as he was working through a very difficult problem. I've said that one of the most difficult type of scripts to write is one where you've got a character who's incredibly intelligent, like the AI in the last Mission Impossible movie. They state that Charlie has a 170 IQ. I was like, okay, well, you got to have somebody write him really, really smart. I feel like they serviced that well in this script with this character. There are still times when he gets kind of emotionally overwhelmed, but overall, he's able to make very intelligent choices. And it was just so refreshing to see a script written that way and played very well. If you've ever seen, there's a content creator on Instagram, I guess he's on YouTube as well. His handle is Rainbolt. He's also a very intelligent guy. He plays this game online called GeoGuessr, where people will send him a picture of some random spot on the planet, and he's got to guess either what country and what city it's from. And we're talking very random. Like, I've seen him solve underwater reefs and like weird patches of blue sky. Some guy sent him a picture of an airplane window, like he was sitting in an airplane seat looking outside, and like not only did Rainbolt find out where he was flying, he found out what seat the guy was sitting in. Like, he's very, very intelligent. He's able to deduce things from clues. I saw a reel where Rami Malek, who plays Charlie, got on a Zoom call with the guy who plays Rainbolt. He was talking about how there was part of the movie where they had to analyze a photo, and they studied what Rainbolt does to write and shoot that scene. And I saw that scene in the movie because like one of the terrorists is actually dumb enough to also have a social life and post online, and they find one of his pictures, and using his CIA skills, Charlie is able to break it all down and figure out exactly where this guy is. I'm like, yep, that's the Rainbolt moment. It was cool to see all that come together. This was like a collection of different elements that were all attached to each other, and the whole was greater than just the sum of its parts. Kind of a shame that this movie is somewhat underperformed. I was checking some box office numbers just because I was worried about not that I would say that I want a sequel to it, but I want good movies to do well. It's made back its production budget, so with streaming deals and whatever, like it'll eventually be a success for the people that created it. The only reason that matters is I would like to see the studios make more films like this, and I would like them to succeed. I was telling my brother about it. He hadn't even heard of it, and he likes Rami Malek. He's watched him in other stuff. So apparently the word hasn't gotten out about this one. It's been in theaters for 2 weeks. I saw a very late showing of it on Saturday night. I was going to go do it a week ago, but then I got called into work, and there was that whole bit with the storm and the flood, and I was awake for 24 hours, so lost my shot to do it a week ago. But it was still in theaters, and man, really, really well done movie, if you can't tell. Content-wise, I mean, there's a couple of scenes of people getting shot and blown up. Probably the hardest thing to see was there was somebody who got completely just bodied by like a van or something in traffic. Like she ran out into a street and got hit by a car. Kind of distressing to see. But yeah, like no sex scenes, no excessive language or anything. It was just a very cerebral movie. In fact, like feeling wise, it kind of reminded me of Andor, probably just because I'm watching the last couple of episodes of Andor again to get caught up before I go start watching season 2. That's another show that it's very different in tone and content and pacing and scope and all of that from other Star Wars properties. But again, it's a very smart, very cerebral. Like it shows the actual workings of a rebellion and like the hard work that goes into getting a rebellion established. Very, very smart show. It's a little bit like there's no Jedis or lightsabers or the Force or anything. This is about how the rebellion actually got started. It's that kind of show. And The Amateur is that kind of movie. I highly recommend you guys check it out. If it's still in theaters where you're at, you take the time to go catch it on a night, whenever you can, because it was worth the watch. I had a great time watching it. Let's see what else is going on this week. I got some books that I'm going to read, and I've made it through a stumbling part that I've had for the last 2 weeks in the manuscript that I'm writing. I don't know that I'll get it done by Memorial Day, but I will definitely have it done by mid-June and send it off to the publisher, and then I got to go warp speed on another manuscript to get out to them. It never ends, but hopefully if I do it right, I can stop showing up to work at midnight. Anyway, drive safe. See you out there.